The men gave out a shout of triumph as they imagined their enemies in flight, and they rushed after them in disorder. This was just what Snowball had intended. As soon as they were inside the yard, the three horses, the three cows, and the rest of the pigs who had been lying in ambush in the cowshed suddenly emerged in the rear, cutting them off. Snowball now gave the signal for the charge. He himself dashed straight for Jones. Jones saw him coming, raised his gun, and fired. The pellets poured bloody streaks along Snowball's back, and a sheep dropped dead without halting for an instant. Snowball flung his 15 stone against Jones's leg. Jones was hurled into a pile of dung, and the gun flew out of his hand. But the most terrible spectacle was Boxer, bringing up one of his legs and stretching out his great iron chest like a stallion. His very first blow took a stable boy, the stable lad, from Boxwood on his skull, stretched him lifeless in the mud. At the sight, several men dropped their sticks and tried to run. Panic overtook them. In the next moment, all the animals were together, chasing them around and around the yard. Gored, kicked, bitten, and trampled. There was not an animal on the farm that did not take vengeance. Altered in all fashion. Even the cat suddenly left off the cowman's shoulders and sank her claws at his neck. She yelled horribly. At a moment when an opening was clear, the men were glad enough to rush out of the yard and make a bolt for the main road. Within 5 minutes of their invasion, they were in ignominious retreat by the same way they had come, with a flock of geese, chasing after them, pecking at their claws, all the way. All the men were gone except one, back in the yard. Boxer was pawing at his hoof at the stable lad, who laid face down in the mud, trying to turn him over. The boy did not move. He said, the Boxer sighed slowly, "I had no intention of doing that. I forgot that I was wearing iron shoes. Who will believe that I did not do that on purpose? No. So, Taylor, comrade," cried Snowball, from whose wounds of blood were still dripping. "War is war. The only good human being is a dead one. I have no wish to take a life, not even a human life," repeated Boxer, and his eyes were full of tears. "Where is Molly?" exclaimed someone. "Molly is back for the missing." For a moment there was a great alarm. It was feared that the men might have harmed her in some way or even carried her off with them. In the end, however, she was found hiding in her stall with her head buried among the hay in a manger. She had taken to the flight as soon as the gun went off, and when the others came back from work, it was to find that stable lad, who in fact had only been stunned, had already recovered and made it up. The animals had now reassembled in the wildest excitement, each recounting his own exploits in the battle. Top of his voice, an impressive celebration of victory was held immediately. The flag was run up, the Beast of England was sung. There was a number of 7 times. Then the sheep that had been killed was given a solemn funeral. A harvest bush had been planted on her grave, at the graveside. Snowball had made a little speech emphasizing the need for all animals to be ready to die for Animal Farm if needed be. The Animal Society announced needed to create a military decoration, Animal Hero First Class, which was confirmed there and then on Snowball, and a box. It consisted of a brass medal while it was confirmed posthumously on the dead sheep. There is a discussion as to what the battle should be called. In the end, it was named the Battle of Cowshed, since that was where the ambush had been sprung. Mr. Jones' gun had been found lying in the mud. It was known that there was a supply of cartridges in the farmhouse. It was decided to set the gun up at a foot of the flag staff, like a piece of artillery, to fire twice a year. Once on October 12th, the anniversary of the Battle of Cowshed, and once on Midsummer Day, the anniversary of the rebellion.
You guys want to start your chapter 5